How did I raise money for my film? I crashed my car.
Tube socks, $3 to $5. $3 to $5. $3 to $5. Hi, I'm Spike Lee, but I'm not directing. I do this.
Hi, I'm John Pierson, and I'm not here to sell you any tube socks, but I did have a hand in selling Spike's debut, She's Gotta Have It, and launching other first features like Roger and Me, or Clerks, or Slacker. You know, these films, whether they come from Austin, Texas, or Brooklyn, New York, or Flint, Michigan, or a New Jersey convenience store, they're just busting out all over. And this show is about them. Warts and all, the art, the heart, and the enterprise of the American independent film. Our first stop today, the ruins of a New York City filmgoers' temple called the Bleecker Street Repertory Cinema, the place where I met a young man from NYU Film School who was just starting out. Now, there's another marquee that I used to change for the Bleecker Street Cinema, the mighty.
You used to change that yourself, right, on the ladder?
I did that. I had to catch the mice myself, too. This was one of the most...
They did have mice in the theater. It used to be cold up there in the wintertime, too. I remember that. So I was working here part-time. I was the inventory department. I was cleaning films, shipping them out. You were next door, and you were programming the Bleecker Street Cinema. You know, you let me in. You see a lot of...
You didn't pay?
Nah, you let me slide. So a lot of, you know, you're a great programmer, and so a lot of my education was spent right here, you know, and we're just watching films.
What do you think it's like now, or how do you think it's different now for some young filmmakers?
With Laserdisc now, and the way you could, you know, break down how shots are done frame by frame. You know, when I was growing up, we couldn't do that because we only saw films in the theater. And, you know, we didn't have any, couldn't tell a projectionist to back it up and go over the same shot. But now the information is there for young filmmakers to study stuff. When you were in film school, we all saw Scorsese's films. I mean, we knew we went to NYU, but we didn't know him. But here was somebody, Jim Jarmusch, you know, who we all knew, who we saw every day in film school. I worked in the equipment room, and so I'm proud to see, and I checked out equipment to Jim Jarmusch. When Strange in Paradise became a hit, I mean, for me, that opened my eyes, you know, that this could really happen, because here's somebody I went to school with, somebody who I know that actually has a hit, someone who's being written up in the newspapers, someone whose movie is in the theaters, and so then it became attainable. It was an interesting time, and after I graduated from NYU, my thesis film, Joe's Best Starr Barbershop, won the Student Academy Award, and I still continue to work here for another 2 or 3 years after I graduated, and you ran it here at the AG Room, right? We made $2?
Maybe $3. Admissions were lower then. So the next time I hear from you, it's 1985.
Yeah, we had shot the film in 12 days in July. We had a rough cut screening
back at NYU,
the Bijou Theater. Before the film started, I got up in front of the audience and said, you know, hopefully you'll like the film and invest in it, because if you don't, I'll be back on 14th Street selling tube socks.
$3 to $5. Hi, I'm Spike Lee, but I'm not directing. I do this.
We eventually used that line for the trailer of the film.
You gonna go? You gonna go? If you don't, I'll still be here on this corner. Tube socks, $3 to $5. $3 to $5. Tube socks, $3 to $5. $5.
That was me. That was just a young, unproven director begging the audience to go see his film.
You so fine, baby. I drank a tub of your bath water.
There's this moment that
that
night and every other time the film played after that just kind of ignited audiences. So you want to...
Well, that scene that's the dog scene in the film, and what we just try to do is just try to come up with all the corny lines that men think will work.
Girl, I got plenty of what you need. 10 throbbing inches of USDA, government inspected, prime cut, grade A tube steak.
Before the show, you also said, I guess my life will never be the same after tonight. I mean, it was sort of, I don't know how you knew all this. You had this vision. I mean, I'm glad I was along for the ride, because it was great for me, too.
Some of that was wishful thinking, too. I mean, I'm not going to stand here and say that I believed everything I said. I believe some of it. You know, the other stuff about, you know, my fingers and toes were crossed.
Please, baby, please, baby, please, baby, 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 please.
In order to make intelligent judgments of artists, you can't just look at a guy comes to NBA's Rookie of the Year. You're gonna let him play for 3 more seasons. Guy writes a novel. First novel's great. Call this guy William Faulkner, or James Baldwin, or Toni Morrison. You know, right? You gotta acquire a body of work no matter what you do, you know, to make intelligent evaluations of the people who's working. So that's what we always try to do, you know. Now we've done 9 films, you know, in this first decade.
It's a great body of work. I mean, I know you're an inspiration to other filmmakers. You're my hero.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob. Oh, got any movies for us today?
Yeah, we got a ton of them.
Oh, look at this. All right. There'll be more tomorrow?
Yeah, I bet.
Every day they're making them all over the country. All right, see ya.
Take care now.
So filmmakers send videotapes of their features in from all over the country, all 50 states. We watch them all, we really do, and we like a lot of them. This is the part of the show where you get to peek around my office while I get ready to show you some of our favorite undiscovered footage. Bob the Mailman delivers 400 films a year. That's 8 per week or more than 1 per day. They all want an audience. This week we're going to show you a hilarious monologue from Brian Flemming's feature, Hang Your Dog in the Wind.
You know what's really interesting in cinema today? They make a movie about making a movie. You know, it's about some guy who's making a film, or it's about an executive that works at a studio that makes films. It's about a whole bunch of crew people on a film. It's like the only kind of movie they make anymore. So my idea is this, okay? Fade in. We're in a movie executive's office. Movie executive type is sitting behind his desk, and in front of him is this guy who's pitching an idea for a movie. It's this guy that's pitching his idea, which is for a movie about a movie. When all of a sudden, we hear someone call cut. The camera pulls back, and we realize this movie executive and this guy are just actors, right? The movie executive's office is a set. And what we're really seeing is the making of a movie, with a director, producer, crew type standing around, okay? So the director comes in, walks over to one of the actors, starts talking to him about the scene or whatever. And just as we start to get into their conversation, someone calls cut. The camera pulls back, and we realize that all of those people were really actors. And what we're seeing is a movie about people who make movies. There's a whole nother real crew that's been filming all this stuff. And now we get to know them for a while. Then the camera pulls back again. Same thing. What we're really seeing is a movie about people who make movies, about people who make movies, about people who make movies. And then the camera pulls back again. Same thing. And this keeps going on over and over and over again for like 2 hours and 12 minutes until we've got this overhead view of Los Angeles. And we realize that everyone in LA is making movies about people who make movies. No one's doing anything else. Everything's part of this cinematic food chain. What do you think?
Occasionally, people seem to think that it's not enough to just send the work. They try to send something with the work that will make us remember the work. And we like to keep some of the most memorable objects over here on top of the bookshelf. We've got the hockey puck, we've got the spinning zoetrope, we've got the homemade vino from the Italian-American film, which sent the single best object of all, which is the severed ring finger, complete with ring. Now, this looked very real next to a slab of salami, which was also in the package, so gave us the creeps.
I didn't care for it. I thought it was pretty mean-spirited.
I did not see the film Fargo. I chose not to see the film Fargo.
I thought it stunk. I thought it was just terrible, I guess.
The Coen brothers, when I did go to high school with them, they were like high school photo geniuses. They'd always be carrying their cameras around every classroom and stuff, and all the teachers said, and all the kids, that they would go somewhere because they were really talented at what they did.
I heard it was filmed in Minnesota. My sister saw it from North Carolina. She said it made the people who live here look like a bunch of hicks.
How you doing, Wade?
Yeah, pretty good.
What you watching there?
Go first.
Who they playing?
And it was full of stereotypes about Minnesotans which aren't true. And it was a very vulgar picture and a very violent picture.
I loved it. The Coen brothers are very good directors, producer. I love the
I'm not gonna
cast.
sit here and debate.
A very funny movie.
I will say this, though. What Shep told us didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Oh, no. It's real sound. It's all worked out.
You want your own wife kidnapped.
Yeah.
Anything like that would have been well known throughout the state of Minnesota. I don't recall any multiple slings like that in the state of Minnesota, certainly in the last 20 years.
And I do know of one instance where they, somebody had to quite literally put a body through. He killed his wife and put her through it.
There may have been some things that were similar. It may have been a blend of stories, but I'm not aware that it was an actual situation.
We talked, well, we ended up calling Ethan Coen, the producer, and he did admit, yes, it did not occur in Brainerd, and it did not occur in Minnesota. And he maintained, well, it did occur somewhere, so it is a true story, and our idea of a true story is a little different than his.
There really isn't much violence in Brainerd to speak of. Certainly no serial killings, no rampages like that.
I mean, we've got some kooks around here, as everybody does, but nobody quite that kooky.
No, years ago, John Dillinger robbed a Brainerd bank and stuff like that. For years, you could go by the bank, see the bullet holes in the wall and stuff like that.
Well, in 1977, I remember a man was shotgunned to death in a bar in Crosby, just north of here.
Al Capone used to vacation up here in the summertime.
So we got a trooper pull someone over. We got a shooting. These folks drive by. There's a high-speed pursuit. Ends here, and then this execution type deal.
Yeah,